Hi, I'm going to show you how you can make a great green screen whiteboard using your iPad, your Apple Pencil, Keynote and presenting software such as Ecamm Live. If you'd like to be able to do this, just as easily as that, and remove it as easily as this, and then bring it back if you need to, as easily as that, then just keep on watching. I'm Phil Binks. At the end, I'll show you how you can run animated graphics through Keynote so that you don't even need to use overlays. So the first thing you'll need to understand is the streaming shape of your presentation. This is set in the Ecamm preferences. I'll just bring up the window here. So under the stream settings, you've got a stream shape. Typically, most people are using the 16:9 ratio as that matches both 4K and any HD output. But you could be selecting any one of the other options there. You'll just need to make sure that your Keynote presentation matches the ratios shown on this screen. So now we'll go into the iPad settings and show you how to set this all up. Firstly, you'll need to go into your iPad and go to the Keynote application. If you haven't got the Keynote application, it's free on the Apple iStore. I'm going to now touch on the Keynote icon, and this brings up the Keynote interface. We're going to choose the top left-hand white icon that says Create a Presentation, and then we'll choose a theme. Now, in my basic settings, if I choose basic white, that will launch the presentation with a default slide on it. What I want you to then do is click on the plus button at the bottom left of that screen. So there's a little blue plus button. There you can then scroll up and go to the blank setting, touch that, and that brings up a blank white slide. If you press on the number 1 and then hold it down, you'll see that a menu comes up where you can delete that first slide. So let's delete the one with the writing on it. So that will then leave us with just a slide with a white background. We then need to remove that white background to make it green for our green screen purposes. So the icons along the top, it's essentially the fifth one in, the paintbrush icon next to the play icon. So just at the top there, touch that, and you'll see that one of the options says background. So touch the background, and you'll then come up with some presets. What we then need to do is scroll to the left, from left to right. We're going to move across the presets. So I'm just touching the screen and dragging it across until we get these solid preset colors. I then want you to choose the third green background down, the one that I've just selected there. This seems to be a perfectly good color for green screen work. If, however, you are looking to do a blue screen background, because, for instance, you might be doing something with gardening, foliage or cookery, then you can choose the third blue background, and that would work as well. But for this demonstration, we're going to stick with the green screen. Simply touch anywhere on the screen outside of that area to fill the screen with that green background. If you're unsure that your slide layout is exactly the dimensions that you require, touch the 3 dots in the middle of the circle at the top right hand side of the screen, and that brings down a More dialog box, and near the bottom there's one that says Document Setup. If you touch the Document Setup icon, a range of new slides appear, but below those there's one that says Slide Size right at the bottom of the screen. Touch that, and you'll see there the dimensions of typical slide sizes. Most of those would match your Ecamm slide or presentation settings. Of course, we want 16:9, but you can even set a custom size up if you want to from this dialog box. Click Done at the top right of the screen. We are currently in editing mode, so we could draw or paint on this screen, but we essentially right now want to keep this blank. So one of the things I'd like you to do is put your finger, this is all done with your finger, press and hold on the green icon at the top left of the screen. And that allows you to do many things like cut, copy, etc. But what I'd like you to do is duplicate. Hit the duplicate button, because what we're actually going to do is make several copies of this same slide. So I recommend that you maybe make even up to 10. So I'm going to make 7 or 8 at least. And you'll see why this is useful as we go through the presentation. Now that we've made our extra duplicates, you can just touch the first one just to highlight that. Then unpinch the screen till it says full screen. So let me just pinch back in. You start off with a percentage, then it goes to fit, and as you scroll further it says full screen. If you now let go, then you'll find that the menu dialog on the left hand side clears itself. If you want to bring that menu dialog box back, you can actually drag in with your finger from left to right on the left hand side of your screen to bring it back in. So I'm literally pushing it off and then pulling it back on again with my finger, just like so. We're now done with creating our green background, our green screens. So to end this design process, we touch the very top right hand icon, the blue page icon with the little eye icon at the bottom of it. So from here, when we're going to make presentations, we need to press the white play icon on the top right hand side. So you've got the edit button, the circle with the 3 dots, and the white play icon. Touch the white play icon. That clears the screen completely so that you can then start to write on it. So now you'll need to connect your iPad to the Mac using your Lightning to USB cable. I'll now take you into demo mode in Ecamm to show you how to set this up as a camera overlay. So here we are in demo mode, and what I'll do, I'll just zoom in a little so you can see what we're doing here. The camera overlay button is this icon just here. Click on that and that opens a window showing your cameras. If you click on the little pen icon there, we can then choose the iPad as the camera source. Once we've chosen the iPad as the camera source, the aspect ratio is shown as being 16:9, and most people might think that that's exactly the right size, but in fact that doesn't allow us to spread the green screen across the screen to cover it as we need to. So what I tend to do is use the classic 4:3 because that's the shape of the iPad screen itself, or you could use the custom setting. Let's use the classic 4:3. So what that then allows me to do is it allows me to drag the whole camera overlay to the top left and drag down all the way as far as I can go to the right hand side. I can then drag up with the cursor, and you see there's a blue cross on the screen showing that the green overlay is completely centered on the screen. If I drag it down a little, you'll see the black come in from the top, and similarly if I drag it up from the bottom, the black comes in from the bottom. So that just proves that we've got a complete coverage using the green screen shown from the iPad. From here, you'll want to be able to turn on the transparency effect for that green screen, as this is really the whole point of the exercise. So we do that by going up to the camera effects window, and the drop down button here might list a different camera. If it does, just select your iPad, and then below that there's another drop down box with a chevron. Make sure you open that up and click on green screen. and that makes your green screen become completely transparent. And in this case, as you see, you can see straight through that green screen to me or whatever is on the background of your canvas. We have a fade level option that you can use to fade the green in and out. Now, in most situations, when you fade this over to the left, you'll have a bluish, greenish, complete coverage of the screen. You just need to make sure you tweak it across to make sure you have a very clean screen so you can see straight through it and see through all of the graphics, and that you don't have too many jagged edges on those graphics. The idea is to try and get it as smooth as possible. Here I've got transparent selected, which is why you see through to me, but if I turn that off, you'll see through to whatever the background is set in Ecamm. And in this case, I've got the background set to be the bricks. It makes it really good if you want to write something. So I'll just give you an example. I can write graffiti on there. So this is the sort of thing that you're going to soon be able to do. If I turn on the transparency, that graffiti writing stays on my screen, but it's not very good and easy to see. So I'll remove that very quickly. I'll show you how to do that in a little while. But I could write very easily just by choosing a black pen and saying Magic Pen. So that is what the transparency does, and you can just see in this little inset here where I've written on the screen. If I turn all of that off, you'll see that Magic Pen sits there as I've written it. And if I turn the transparency or the green screen back on, then we can see straight through to it, but the pen writing is still there. So I'll now show you how to set up the iPad. This is the screen that we left on the iPad, so it's completely blank other than the black bars at the top and the bottom and the green screen. If you take your Apple Pencil and touch the lower part of the black bar with it, it brings up the last thing that I wrote, which was graffiti. So I'll just show you one of the features. You can actually use the back arrow, the undo arrow on the right next to the done button. If I hold that, it says clear all. So there's your first lesson. That will clear all writing that you've just made on a recent slide. You can now touch with your Apple Pencil any of the colors here. So if I touch the blue color, you see it has this funny circle around it, and I can now write, and that would be shown on the screen. Just as an example, if I turn on the green screen functionality and we're seeing through to the rear canvas color, let's turn it back on. To delete anything, as we've said, I can press and hold the icon at the bottom there and hit clear all. The next thing I want to show you is to get out of this screen. If I just show you, this is one finger, this is the other. So we're going to pinch the two fingers together on the screen. So if I drag these two circles together, that brings up this mode. So now we're back into the kind of the starter mode, and it shows us we're actually on slide 1 of 8 up in the top left hand corner. I could now drag in with my finger on the left hand side, and it will bring in that list of canvases that we have available to use. So you could check to see which canvas you're on if that's of concern to you. Again, to go back into the proper presentation mode that we want, we go back up to the play icon, the white play icon at the top. Just press that and that moves us back into that screen. And remember, we just touch the lower black area with the pen, and that brings up our coloured pen tools. You might wonder what this icon is on the far left hand side, and that is a highlighting icon. So you can use that to circle or highlight an area when you're making a presentation. Let me give you an example. If I turn on the green screen again on my system, I might, for instance, say, well, look at this lovely cloud here. So you can see what that does. That's the effect of pressing that key. It doesn't draw on the screen, but it does highlight the screen for you. So if you're wondering how we quickly delete things, then that's very easy. And it's the whole reason that we created multiple canvases. Because if I write something, like this is number 1, and I want to very quickly remove that and move on to another blank canvas, then all I need to do is touch the canvas anywhere. I like to touch it on the right hand side, and that moves me onto the second canvas. So I'm just going to touch the area that's yellow now. And that looks like it's deleted everything. Well, in a way it has, but we've actually really just moved to canvas number 2. And if again I touch on the canvas anywhere, just touch it once, I'm going to touch that button, again we move on, and now we're on canvas number 3. The trick is that you can keep doing that and very quickly deleting what's on the screen. If you, however, want to go back, then the idea is that you put your finger on the screen, and this is all done with the finger, by the way, not the pen, and you drag about an inch from left to right. So I'm going to drag back to canvas 2 now, and I'm going to do the same thing just here. That's where my finger's going. I'm going to drag in that direction back to canvas number 1. One of the interesting things here is that the delete button, where it says clear all, does still work, but if I move on to the next screen and I press delete there, and I'm just tapping it once with my finger or the pen, it doesn't delete the last thing that you wrote on the screen. So you can clear all, or you can not clear anything. One more tap on the screen will take me, where do you think? You're right, number 3. If I drag back to from left to right, I go back to screen number 2. And if I do the same again, we go to screen number 1, but of course it's blank because I've just deleted everything on it. So you can see there how quick and easy it is to clear a screen and move on. And that's the whole reason that we created several canvases at the start, so we could quickly move from one to the other and give ourselves a clean screen to work on. And once more, if we want to come out of this mode, which you would do without people seeing you, so you wouldn't be using this in live mode, you would actually be putting a finger there and a finger there and dragging in those 2 points. So you're pinching the screen to bring you back to that mode, and you can then see which canvas you're actually on. Now going back in this mode, you'll also notice that the writing has disappeared. So there's no way of saving the writing in this mode, but it's great to be able to just go back and have a completely clean set of canvases to work from. Remember, you press the white play icon to get it back into presentation mode, and touch the black bar at the bottom of the iPad screen to bring up the pen tools. So that shows you how to use the green screen on your iPad with the Ecamm and Keynote settings. The other thing you can do is add the green screen overlay to your Stream Deck buttons, so that you can then just bring the green screen on as and when you need it. And if you make some sort of mistake on the green screen, you can very easily turn it off. So for instance, I can just talk, bring up the green screen overlay, make sure that it's turned on so that you can see straight through it, and then I can simply choose any color and write on the screen during my presentations. And that's very easy to do. And remember, just touch the iPad screen, so you don't have to look anywhere. You can just touch it with your finger. It only works with your finger, and that moves you on to the next canvas. And it makes it very quick and easy to do presentations in this way. Finally, I'd like to give you some ideas of how you can use your green screen. So my green screen is on. You're seeing straight through it from Keynote. on writing on the screen, and I can then clear it if I want to. But what I can also do is move on to the next slide, which might contain an animated graphic. I can speak through the graphic and move the graphic on with a tap of the iPad, which effectively is giving it a click. So you don't have to play through a complete graphic like you would if it was a movie icon and a movie overlay. So once I'm happy with that, I might want the icon to pulse, and I've recorded that as the next thing. And then finally, I might want the graphic to disappear. Another thing you can do is you can just touch your screen, and of course the screen is so big you can't miss it. That might then bring up something like a clipboard, which again, of course, you can simply write on. So you might have your points here, just like so. Write them on there and then simply tap the screen, and that will then clear those points away, and you can move away from that, move on to the next slide. So hopefully that will give you some ideas. Of course, I could go back with a little slide of my finger from left to right on the iPad screen, and that will bring the points back, and it will actually bring the icon graphic back as well. So of course you could just save that on multiple screens. So hopefully that's given you a few ideas, and enjoy your green screens with your Keynote and iPad and Ecamm. So if you need any other help with graphics, or you'd like to suggest any other recordings that I could make, feel free and I'll be happy to do so. For the time being, enjoy all your creativity.